What exactly? Okay, so I get these text messages, as does everybody, of like an unknown number that will text you and be like, "Good morning, are you at work today?"
Yeah, or hey,
Or
do
like,
you remember that
"Hey,"
crazy night when we ate tacos?
or like, "Hey, David."
Yep.
And so when I get those, I always just go with it. So
And this is why he won't text us back, but he texts these scammers.
Yes.
By the way, and he has 12. How many unread texts do you have right now?
I don't know. I actually turned off the thing that counts it. 1,300. So I got this one today. I get a random text. Has anyone reviewed the plan yet? That's the text.
No, what's the plan?
No. So I texted back and said, yes, it has been approved. And then it said, okay, is it possible to break ground before Christmas? Our company will be closed for the holidays, so we may need to adjust the timing a bit. I said, can you start tomorrow?
Welcome to the Money Lap. I kind of look up mid-taco bite. You don't know disappointment. Talking all things motorsports by two real drivers.
I appreciate being called a gritty driver.
With many, many years of experience.
We've had to do that other people didn't want to do.
The most dedicated host in the motorsports podcast world.
Weren't we supposed to have somebody come on our show as a guest?
No, we did it.
Did we?
Yes.
Yes, for our 1-year anniversary.
And we definitely know what we're doing. Remember, talk through your mic.
I'm talking past it like this.
Well, if you just pointed it differently. Like, never mind. Never mind.
Oh,
Never mind.
Let's
the
talk about
standard
race
is
cars. God's
This
sakes.
is our worst show ever. Hello and welcome. It's the Money Lap. I'm Parker Kligerman, joined by my good buddy, Landon Castle. It is December 17th, 2025. This will be the last Money Lap of the year. On today's show, we've got a full set of things to catch up on, including our opinions on the now settled lawsuit. We haven't dug into that. I'm sure some people are tired of it. Some happenings in F1, and most importantly, since this is our last episode of the year, has become an annual tradition. We will do a Q&A. We asked you all for questions. You all sent in questions, voicemails, all sorts of things. We will rip through those as well. And we last year did predictions. Sounds like we might do that again. So we weren't right. Actually, Landon, you were damn close. I saw someone on Instagram.
Wait, prediction? We're doing predictions on this show, or we're doing that after the first of the year?
No, we did it on this one last
Really?
year. Yeah.
Yeah, we did. We
yeah,
did
it's like a crazy early predictions.
That is
You
crazy.
you called two of them. You called Kyle Larson as champ and Landon Norris as champ. Yeah.
And Larson, but we could
Of course
break
I
that
said
down
Kyle
later.
Of course I did.
Yeah, I said that.
Wait, oh, sorry. I apologize.
What in the world?
Who won the Xfinity Series championship?
Jesse Love.
Yeah, I didn't call that one.
Nope.
No, you did not.
I have a guy who's not racing in Xfinity anymore. He did one season. He's done. Christian Eckes, and he didn't make the playoffs. So that was a bust. Big time bust. I had Chase Elliott for champ in Cup. Definitely failed at that. And although he was looking good for a little while. And then I had Lewis Hamilton winning the championship in F1. That was a major bust.
Way off.
Way off. So
You may
Not
not ever
quite.
need to make that pick again.
I think he's done. Yeah. I would say the absolute destruction of his confidence has all but written off that possibility. When a 7-time champ is basically just like, I want to go home, it's over. Done.
Must be the water in the seat.
Although if he could get in victory lane for Ferrari.
You got to talk into your mic, bud.
He could win a race for Ferrari.
He could. Well, he won a sprint this past year. He won
that's what I'm
China.
saying.
Yeah, but
I
he's
didn't
not
say
gonna win a
heat
championship.
race though. Like he could win a real race.
Yeah, because sprints don't count.
Mm-mm.
Well, those
To
are
that
races.
point, when people
That's
talk
neither,
like
though.
to talk about the just ridiculousness of sprints, think about what we just said. He won a sprint. Yeah, who cares? He'll win a real race. It's like they just don't matter. Stupidest thing ever. I would have rather had another qualifying session. Anyway, should we? Well, before we get into everything, quickly, Landon, any cool plans? We're gonna probably be off for a while, more than we have been.
Yeah, we kind of got some holiday stuff going. Going to Chicago this weekend to see like kind of Christmas villagey stuff. We're gonna have Christmas at home, and we're gonna go skiing after Christmas. So that'll be fun.
Oh, nice. I'm going to Italy for like 15 days. Shannon's over there, so we're gonna do Christmas and New Year's. We're gonna do New Year's in Venice. It's gonna be ritzy. That I hear it's pretty cool. I've never been to Venice, so.
Oh, Venice is amazing. My
Yeah.
favorite, one of my favorite cities.
Oh, really? Cool. My parents said the same. Some friends have said the same. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. She's over in Milan for 5 months. So this is how we're going to spend Christmas and New Year's. Should be cool. Should be fun. Well, let's dive into it, Landon. We mentioned the settlement that was of the 2311 FRM versus NASCAR lawsuit. Was kind of a surprise when it happened, and it was all sort of all of a sudden. But for our buddy Denny Hamlin, shout out to our one listener, it was I would say a victory in every sense. And for a guy who, as we learned the numbers, truly risked it all, full risk on, was vindicated in a big way. I think he made Joe Gibbs his owner more than any driver has ever made an owner in ever. Considering, well, I'm just thinking, the charters are now basically permanent, call it Evergreen, whatever you want. Immediately at that moment, and then I saw this confirmed from Adam Stern, my thought was that this most likely at least doubled, maybe tripled the value of the charters. And sure enough, there was reports that people felt like they doubled. So just do it. He's got 4 charters at Joe Gibbs. You just made Joe Gibbs a tremendous windfall. For every team owner on that day and that night, I have to think they were having a little toast to Michael Jordan, Denny Hamlin, and Bob Jenkins for making that happen for them.
It is kind of crazy. I mean, we don't know specific numbers. We know some numbers. I know we'll go through it. Stuff that's been publicized. If you guys are if you're listening and you're an avid NASCAR fan, these are all things that you've probably heard by this point, right? So we're not gonna,
yeah, of course.
We will talk a little bit, and Parker, I want you to tee me up for it because it's not really in the notes, but like we will talk a little bit about how I believe that this is great for charter team owners, but does threaten the existence of independent Xfinity and Truck Series teams, O'Reilly Auto Parts Series and Truck Series teams.
Good catch. Good catch. Wow.
We can talk about that.
Why don't you just do it? Just dive into it.
Well, I do want to pause on that note of like the so far perceived, and I think not just perceived, the objective success of Denny and Jordan and Bob Jenkins' lawsuit on behalf of the teams.
Okay.
I mean, it is a total win in the media for them. Right? There was really, and even, think about even within the last month or two, leading into Phoenix, we had teams that were supposedly wanted this to stop, begging for settlement, kind of behind closed doors, criticizing Denny and Jordan, becoming impatient with them, frustrated they were getting drug into it. And, they kind of came out the other side. And I can't imagine that this isn't at least most of what they were hoping for.
I think it's got to be.
We'll never truly know the actual legal result of all this, right? Because they didn't go full through with the lawsuit, right? We didn't get to. We won't truly know the technicalities of everything and everything we debated for so many months. But I do wonder if the end result is more so in the team's favor here, especially for the teams that did not spend a bunch of money on legal fees the way that 2311 and FRM did.
Well,
that's kind of an interesting dynamic too.
Yeah, it's kind of my point. Is like, I made the joke. I said it facetiously about Denny Hamlin and Joe Gibbs, but technically, like, he made every team owner a lot of money if you own a charter right now. And the value creation on that in that moment, whatever you want to consider the evaluation of these, is in the hundreds of millions, if not billions, overnight in one fellow swoop from just granting these to be basically permanent charters, which means you
What
have
does that
permanent
mean?
real estate in NASCAR.
What does that mean for Denny long term? Like, is that just the God mode street cred among team owners?
I would have.
Is it?
I mean, the guy, when you found
Does
the
he get a
numbers out of
tip?
what he had on the line, what
Does
he
he
was
get a
risking.
tip? Does Rick Hendrick, Roger Penske, like Roush, Fenway, track out? Do they tip him out for that?
You at least buy him a drink, I would think.
I mean,
send him a bottle of champagne on Christmas.
I would think a pretty nice bottle of champagne.
Yeah.
I would think they foot the bill for this whole lawsuit to reach a settlement. The teams, to our knowledge, are not. I mean, I guess there probably was communication with the RTA through the settlement talks. Maybe 2311 communicating with the RTA of like, hey, this is the kind of offer we have from NASCAR. Is the RTA willing to agree to this?
But
like
they took the public scrutiny.
They took the public scrutiny. They paid the bill.
Yeah, paid the bill. He's a current competitor in the series. The strained relationship with the higher ups of NASCAR, you have to think, was there. The strained relationship possibly with his own team, that he drives for, not the team he owns. The uncertainty of it all. I think it was the brain drain from all that for sure. I mean, I think that's why I said before, he went full risk on. Yeah. Literally risked it all and was vindicated in the end.
So a couple of things that we do know, I'm not trying to hijack your notes, but a couple of things we do know is
there are notes, by the way. Mine is yours.
The charter green, the charters are evergreen. There's some performance standards are coming back into play, right? We used to have the bottom 3 or 3 years in the bottom 3 or whatever it was. Now it might be 5 years or something like that. There's some other details like NASCAR gets 10% of a sale. It was 2%. There's share in international revenue. The teams are going to get a third of the revenue from IP. What does that mean? What's
don't know that one.
So there's a few revenue share deals, but it also the rev shares that are new sound like they're accessory rev shares to not necessarily the core media rights, like the TV rights that we're mostly talking about. When we're talking about revenue share and media rights, that's generally what we're talking about. These like international revenues and things like that, they're like breadcrumbs compared to the actual media rights, or the television media rights. We don't really have any info to my knowledge, if there's, I'm sorry, I don't want to. There's also an undisclosed financial payment to 2311 and FRM, so they must have reached a settlement on legal fees, which is also, or damages, whatever that is, which is also insane to me to think that NASCAR is paying their own legal fees, but then also probably stroking a check to the tune of, who knows, $5, $10, $20 million to these teams.
Yep.
And then, so my question was, we didn't hear anything about the share, the charter money, right? The share of the media rights, which is a big topic that you and I speak on a lot. We spoke on that on our last show, mainly because that's my, I don't want to say specialty or field of expertise, but it's just like I'm comfortable talking about the money the teams receive and what it takes for them to race. And, I've been pretty clear about how I feel about that it's like the teams are just going to spend what they get. And, that it's a never ending cycle. That NASCAR could give the teams $50 million a year. They're going to spend 75 and complain that they don't get enough money to cover their costs, right? Like that's just, doesn't matter if it's 5 million or 50 million, teams are going to spend it. We've been clear about that. We didn't really get any information in the settlement on if that number changed, right? Did they get the 20 million they were asking for? Did they not? I'm curious. I'm also curious because it's like, hey, I I'm looking forward to the next 5, 6, 10 years, the next time around that they are maybe renegotiating the next media rights deal, because it's like my prediction is the teams will always be asking for more. They just will. And so it is interesting to me that we didn't get any info on that. And then, and so if you want to expand on that, you can. But then I'm going to just go ahead and plant the seed that I said a minute ago. I will kind of make a long-term prediction here. I think that this is great for the charter team owners, the Cup Series team owners. It's obviously, it's widely discussed that this overnight, added a ton of equity to the value of a charter.
I heard one number is 150 million.
Right, to the tune of hundreds of million. Well, even if they say they doubled in value, these things went from being worth, what were they worth? 20 million?
40.
15?
Well, the last one, the big one that traded at 45 million. So I estimated a 2 to 3x, 100 to 150.
Yeah. So if they're worth $100 million each, look at what this does to a company like Trackhouse, right? How many charters do they have?
3.
So they went from being worth $150 million to $300 million
Just
overnight in
Yep.
equity, an increase in $150 million in equity overnight. The reason I say that this is a threat to the existence of independent lower tier series teams in Truck Series and O'Reilly Auto Parts Series is because now, what do you think a savvy guy like Justin Marks is going to do with an additional $150 million in equity? Forget about money coming in. Forget about prize money. Forget about sponsorship. These teams somehow, when they want to do something, it just always finds a way to happen, right? Where they have the sponsorship or they raise the money or whatever. You're Justin Marks, and you all of a sudden just were airdropped $150 million in equity in your organization. You're going to put it to work. What are the top 5 things you're going to look at if you're going to put that $150 million in equity to work?
Yeah, you're going to look at other racing, and you're going to look at the bottom 2 series.
And you have a key partnership, by the way. That was another thing that I wanted to add in that. You're a team like Trackhouse. You have a key partnership with Chevrolet. You got $150 million in equity. You have connections to money guys, right?
Money guys.
The people that want to deploy capital.
Yeah. Finance.
So what is in your top 5 things you're going to look at? Truck Series, O'Reilly Auto Parts Series.
Oh yeah, O'Reilly. Good call.
Can we just call it Xfinity till the end of the year?
I got it.
It's
Can I deal with that next year?
2025.
Yeah, we can switch
2025.
next year. I've got to change, so I keep doing that, and obviously I'm going to be on the broadcast.
Right. I'll deal with that next year. So Truck Series, Xfinity Series, you've got this equity. I seriously think that this is now it's either a threat to the existence. Let's just call it a threat to the existence. It might financially benefit through a transition, through an acquisition, independent teams, whether that's everybody from JRM on down to whoever, right? Jordan Anderson, Tommy Joe Martins. I mean, this could be a huge windfall for those guys, but it also could be a threat to their existence, or both at the same time, right? Because at some point, all of these Cup organizations, especially the ones that have key partnerships, that have OEMs that are willing to say, sure, we'll give you resources. You want to go Xfinity Racing? We'll pay for your engines, right? You want to go Xfinity Racing? We'll pay for we'll give you time in our development facilities, right? Our technical facilities. We'll give you more sim time. We'll give you more time on the 7-post, 8-post, whatever, CFD resources, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you want to put together an Xfinity team, go right ahead. So I think that's just on my radar. I'm not saying it happens overnight. I'm not saying it happens next year. That's just on my radar that now you have this whole pool of Cup Series organizations, 36 charters, $3.6 billion in street value, right? And then you have 36 Xfinity teams right next door, and they're not collectively worth $100 million.
Not even close.
Not even close. Right? There's a huge mismatch there that I think one is going to probably absorb the other.
To further embolden your point, if you look at F1 versus F2, right? Where as F1 experienced this massive explosion in popularity in the last 5-6 years, right? What happened was you had all these independent F2 teams, independent F3 teams, so on and so forth. And suddenly every F1 team had a driver academy. And now so many of those cars look like the F1 cars, Red Bull, Mercedes, whatever, so on and so forth, all the way down through the ranks. Because to your point, when they were so flush, now they're looking for alpha, right? If you want to go down the finance term, they're looking for some sort of way to put this increase in their value, increase in interested capital to work, to sort of embolden their brand, build up their pipeline of drivers, crew members, whatever. That's exactly what happened over there. I think you're spot on to say that will happen here. I don't, the ones I think are protected in that sense are your key partner ones. If you look at, a Jordan Anderson, which is a key partner now for Chevy, that is a association with Chevy where Chevy's going to say to Trackhouse, why don't you do a deal with them, or Junior Motorsports, right? Whatever, so on and so forth. But it does open the option for a Trackhouse to say, you know what, we want to start an Xfinity team. Here's how we can justify it, and here's how we're going to do it. If you think about it from a purely a leverage standpoint, if you just think every one of these teams just doubled in value, whatever loans they had, whatever credit lines they had, just went from, whatever loan to value metric they were using before, just went 50% or 100% in their favor. So now the ability to leverage has just gone up a massive amount. So I think,
and you still got to pay for it, but you
got to pay for it.
You got to have the income to pay the whatever, however you raise that money. But my thought is,
well, hold on, but the enterprise value just doubled at least,
right?
Essentially,
right. So I just think that it's, and this is maybe I'm sounding like this is a bad thing. It's also potentially just a really good thing overall for the teams, and we'll see like downstream, because if I am the Jordan Andersons, the Tommy Joe Martins of the world, any one of those teams, is this not like a time to go in full fundraising mode potentially?
Oh yeah,
because it's like, now look at the blue sky that you potentially have to sell to someone that has a couple $1 million that might want to dabble in speculating on the NASCAR team market, right? If you tell this whole story, now this doesn't matter whether you're Tommy Joe Martins and Jordan Anderson, or maybe you are Trackhouse, right? Let's say you're Trackhouse, and now you've created a story of going, okay, look at the equity we have in this organization. Look how long it took to get there. Look at the this whole cycle of charters and what developed and how it got here. We can buy an Xfinity team for X amount of this many millions. We can run an Xfinity team for 5 years. If we didn't bring in any sponsorship or we had nobody funding the car and it would cost this much. If the same thing happened in Xfinity 5, 6, 8 years from now, and they had charters, they had media rights, whatever, that's just an interesting, I don't know, it's an interesting way to look at it too. So
I think it is something that probably others haven't thought of. I think it is the most natural outcome. We've seen it in the other motorsports series when this happens. Call it the trickle down effect, whatever you want to call it. When there's that big a disparity between those two series, and
something's going to happen.
Something's going to give. There will be, to your point, partnerships. There will be, teams that look at starting down there, especially as Xfinity is looking to move to the next gen platform in the next couple of years, which I don't think is a big secret. Which is a natural course of action, because of the, just the once again, trickle down / the idea that the top series kind of controls everything, and the parts and pieces for those Xfinity cars is becoming harder and harder to find. I think that's a natural thing. And then it becomes, there's a lot of ways to justify it. It's not just from the sponsorship perspective or the money side. It's possibly information, right? It's development, all those things. So it's just a natural course of action. Does it allow these, teams to just continue to expand and become larger and bigger enterprises? Like, it's just normal. That's the course of business. As Bill France Jr. once said, if you're not growing, you're shrinking. So
interesting.
To that point. I do think one interesting thing from this is that I would be willing to say, from the results of all of this, this is the most stable position that the NASCAR Cup teams financially have ever been in their history. If you just think about the almost guaranteed amount of revenue to them, no matter what, as they go forward, is in a better position than I would say, the heydays of the early 2000s with endless sponsorship. Maybe there was a higher, let me say, what am I looking for? Margin on that. But in terms of just guaranteed revenue for showing up, this has completely changed the game in some respects. Now, there is the renegotiation with new media rights deals, right? If the next media rights deal, say, was a down deal, then I think that changes things, of course. But it still means there's guaranteed revenue on the other side. Whatever that will be, no one knows. But I think the idea that there's just dependability that's never been there for a Cup Series team in its history. That is sort of a just complete difference in how this is operated for its entire existence. For the people that harken back to the olden days of NASCAR, of run what you brung, and hey, you're some guy who can build this team up from nothing into something. Obviously, that's kind of gone. That's not going to occur. The barrier to entry just got massive to enter. And I think, was it already massive? Yes. Now it's ginormous. But if you are able to justify it, there's obviously a sort of floor and a stopgap for you that didn't exist before this. Does it mean it locks everyone out? If you're this person who really wanted to own a Cup team, and the difference between 45 million and 100 million for a charter is the problem, there's other mechanisms, because once again, with it being evergreen / permanent, you have such a longer runway. What that opens up and your ability to leverage your assets, whatever, to get in is entirely different. So I think it's a whole new paradigm for NASCAR and the NASCAR Cup Series. One thing that did come out of a lot of the court documents and such was the budget cap, which I think is almost a guarantee to see in the next couple of years, which I then think even more so emboldens your point to them, eventually the trickle down theory, where especially if they're capped in their spend, which I think is partially why F1 has been so successful in the last couple of years. They had the two merging things that happened, which was you had this explosion in popularity and sponsorship. At the same time, they put a budget cap in, and so the teams are wildly profitable right now. And that's why they're able to spend in so many different directions. Why does McLaren, race in so many different areas and have an IndyCar team and do all the things they do? And every one of those teams that just, you see how much they put into so much extracurricular activities other than the core racing of F1 is because they're in such a flush position, because they're capped at what they can spend. And the F1 teams can generate so much revenue from sponsorship. So it's a totally different time for NASCAR.
Right.
Does this mean...
Well, and
go ahead.
And look, I mean, if you're capped on what you can spend, then go to spoilerdiecast.com.
Oh, you should.
Because this is the absolute best resource for the fastest growing diecast and racing merch companies out there, and for good reason. They ship same or next day, so your order is not sitting in limbo forever. You can get that order before Christmas. I'm pretty sure you better get it done here in the next couple days. They have a massive selection, over 2,400 products in stock. Mostly NASCAR, just like us. Dirt, sprint cars, IndyCar, even F1, a little bit of everything. Free shipping on orders over $100. Get your free t-shirt, NASCAR t-shirt of a random driver if you just comment your size. Use promo code MONEYLAP, spoilerdiecast.com. Get that Christmas special in there. Maybe no budget cap. You know what? Don't worry about a budget cap. We don't need a budget cap on spoilerdiecast.com. Don't worry about it. It's Christmas. Just get in there and get what you need, and don't worry about it. It'll sort itself out.
Spend all your money on spoilers.
Yeah, just spend all your money and then sue Jim France for more.
Yeah.
He'll cave.
Too soon.
Yeah. I think now is the time for these teams to to ask NASCAR for a budget cap.
Well, it
Like,
came
and
out.
The reason I said it that way is because, we spent so much time talking about on our last show. It's up to the teams. It's not up to NASCAR. Especially now, and I feel like there's kind of an interesting dynamic that I'd love to. It'd be interesting to be like in the room with these executives next time they talk and need something from each other. Because like, what does that look like? Now you have these evergreen charters. You have like, what does the next thing look? What does the next negotiation look like? And when is that? I don't know when that is, right? And I don't even mean like charter negotiation, just like, hey, I need you to do something, right? Hey, a NASCAR has a new opportunity and they're asking a Netflix deal, right? Like the next Netflix thing. What does that look like? How well do they work together? But really, if you're the teams, it's like, okay, you got what you wanted, right? You won. I hate to say won, but it's like you won the deal. You got what you wanted. Now what? Do you continue to spend more than you bring in and lose money? Or do you finally stop spending more than you make? Do you finally all agree, hey, we got what we wanted. We sued NASCAR. We reached a settlement, right? We did our touchdown dances on social media. They spent a long time coming. This is for the fans. The team owners, they don't believe it. We got it. So now what? Do we balance our budget? Do we all sit in a room, shake hands, and agree not to spend more than the 15, 20 million, 25 million, whatever it is that you got NASCAR to agree to that you asked them for? How do we move forward from here? I'm very curious of that.
I think a budget cap is an almost certain outcome.
It has to happen. But the thing is, my point is, it's like it has to come from the teams. Like the teams have to drive, because NASCAR, like what is NASCAR's incentive right now to spend their own time and resources in pushing for a budget cap at the moment? I could see back when you're in the charter negotiations where it's like you've got the teams are trying to get comfortable. You're trying to get them comfortable with these charters and their business models. And there's all these words being thrown around and this needs to be fixed. And Well, it's like, well, that's done now. And not only is it done, the teams got what they wanted. Right? Yep. So if you're NASCAR, it's like, let me focus on my tracks and my promotion now. I feel like if I'm NASCAR, it's like, hey, we reached our settlement. Let's move. We're going to move on. We're going to promote the sport. We're going to put on these events. We're going to maximize everything. The teams are the ones that, like, in my fantasy world where I'm not actually in these conversations, but I just am painting a picture of what can and should or how it should happen. So I'm totally open to hearing that I'm wrong. In my fantasy world here, the teams are the ones that the next big RTA meeting in the Bahamas,
Aspen ski trip
meeting, or on Rick's boat or whatever it is, right? They come back from that and they, hey, it's us again. Hey, we all agreed not to spend more than $12 million on each car, and we just need you to help us keep track of that.
That'd be a nice outcome.
Isn't that how this goes right now? Because what is NASCAR's incentive to be like, hey guys, glad we reached a settlement. Now we want to invest some more time and resources and manpower in helping you not overspend. Right? Like not
bludgeoned each other to death by
not bludgeoning each other to death. Because it's like if you're NASCAR, it's like I'm exhausted by all this stuff, right? Like I'm not dealing with any of that anymore. The teams got what they wanted. We reached a settlement. I'm moving on with our business. We have to, I can only imagine that the productivity at NASCAR corporate has been pretty low from a leadership level for the last couple weeks and months, right?
Only natural.
So yeah, it's only natural. So, for the next year at least, I would think NASCAR's not necessarily focused on this stuff. And it's like, if the teams, if they spend, like, it's not on us anymore necessarily. I mean, I said this before, but it's like, it's not on us to make sure they're profitable. They got what they wanted.
Yep.
Right. So
That's a good point.
I'm interested in that.
It is a good point. The one other thing that came out of it all was there was a bit of a tense moment where NASCAR's lawyers were quizzing Richard Childress on a potential investor that he had coming in that ended up backing out. And Richard was pretty incensed about it because he felt like that was all under an NDA. And so there is still some lingering questions around that. We'll see where that goes. But it was interesting information that came out about Richard's ownership and how that team operates and what that looked like when a group was trying to potentially join them as a partner and buy out their other private equity partner that's a part of the team. So we'll see where that goes. I would like to say one thing though. Although I do believe the teams are in one of the most stable positions they've ever been in the history of this sport. I'm not letting myself think this suddenly means champagne flows from the heavens and it's gold paved racetracks and, everyone's flying, yachts and jets and bottles and models. I think it's, there is still macro headwinds for NASCAR at this time. With everything that's happened for the teams here, one of the things that this really exposes, I think, fan sentiment. As we got later in this season, we saw that was not in a great place. That was reflected in some of the TV ratings we saw. I think there's even things far more external than just NASCAR that are coming for motorsports in general. Just think about what's happening in driverless cars, right? Robo-taxis are now being, from Tesla, are in Austin without safety drivers. You've got Waymo eclipsing Uber in San Francisco. Yes, that's early adopters, but my point being, this is happening and it's happening really fast. And as car culture changes, as we've talked about this probably for the last 5 or 10 years, but now we're kind of in that moment. And so maybe this was the one thing that had to happen to help the future of this overall. But I just think that there are still a lot of headwinds for the sport as a whole. And maybe this was the one stable footing it needed to have everyone pushing the rock up the same hill and moving forward. And we don't know what this means because we never, as I said before, this is a new paradigm in having the teams have such stability. But I definitely believe, that this is great and it's fine and dandy, but we're 6 years away from another media rights contract, which is going to be a scary time. There's a lot of information that came out about this current negotiation and how tense this was at times in terms of getting, more money in some of the things they had to do in terms of being on cable more than network and what the loss in distribution there. And then, you look ahead to say, okay, we're 6 years away from that. What has to happen maybe in the media landscape, from the attention standpoint, from a fan sentiment standpoint, that NASCAR is able to get another larger contract? That's some of the things I've just, as I took myself out of like, oh, that's cool. That's all ended and we can put it behind us as a sport. And the teams are in a great position now. Okay, well, wait, there's still a lot of things that are going to need to hopefully get stronger, turn the corner, head in a better direction, or in 6 years, was this all for moot in some respects?
I'm not trying to just
poo-poo
water down everything you just said, but is that not just business as usual?
Yeah, it is. I'm just saying that I think I saw like, oh, okay, great. Everything's amazing now. Like, we're all good. And I think it's kind of what we were saying before. I just didn't want us to be, without bringing up the obvious, which is, yes, this is different and it's new and it's great for the teams. But it doesn't mean all those things are fixed overnight. It didn't fix that. That's what I was saying. Wow.
Right. The biggest effect this had on the teams is for everything that we know, right? Because remember, I clarified earlier, we don't know if the teams are now all of a sudden getting $40 million a year per car, or if they're still only getting 14 or whatever the number was with their new charter agreement. But we do know that this definitely, money printer created a whole bunch of market value overnight just by making Evergreen charters.
Yeah.
right? I would say that's the biggest thing that the teams got out of this, and that's not insignificant.
So you just totally poo-pooed my whole point.
Well, your whole point was like, hey, we still have major headwinds in the sport, right? Because it's like Evergreen charters in a playing field that's worth nothing is worth nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So, the sport still has to show up every week, right? The fans still have to be there. They still have to watch. And when it comes time to renegotiate the next media rights deal, somebody has to show up and pay the money.
Yeah. Well, maybe it means all those things can be corrected.
And to back up what you were saying, it has to be worth something.
Thank you.
Right?
Yeah. Yep.
And there's challenges there. Ratings have been not just down, but like wildly, inexplicably down on random ass weekends. Right?
Yep.
The balance between cable or network and cable and all that stuff. So yeah, those are definitely not a way. There's definitely a back to the reality, back to business moment in it all. But I still, I don't know. I just go back to the same thing I've been preaching on all this on the teams. It's like, okay, well, but what the teams care about is their business model, right? Like this is what they say. The model is broken. It's like, okay, well, we may not have like a guaranteed or some, we don't always know that we're going to get 20, 30, 40, 50 million a car in TV money because those agreements change, but we got what we wanted out of this lawsuit. So there's nothing more to get out of NASCAR. So now, what is going to ensure the teams that they don't spend more than what they bring in? Are they going to just continue to manage that themselves, or are they all going to agree together to stop spending more than they bring in?
What I love about this show is that you basically just, in that answer, reset what I said, then put it back to your own point, and then re-pulling your own point. That's it. We're not returning in 2026. Landon and I have no chemistry. He's just
What?
No, I'm just messing you.
I have a question for you guys real quick.
What's that?
Who's gonna be the first person that says, sweet, I just made $200 million overnight? Who wants to buy some charters?
God, I hope it's Rick Ware.
I was gonna say Rick Ware, but
just do it. Rick's gonna be like, I don't know, man. I'm gonna roll the dice again.
You've literally hit the jackpot.
Sell.
Rick, it's time.
Anyone from Saudi Arabia want to buy some NASCAR Cup charters?
Oh man, Rick,
I love
got
Rick.
To.
He's a
great guy.
I love that guy. I love the whole family.
Great guy. But I think he has one and sub right now. But hey,
I hope
race
he has.
is a race.
I mean, he's done a lot. He's
Racers are racers.
sacrificed a lot to make it this far too. He might. Who knows? He might be in debt up to his eyeballs. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's like, man, that last. I think it is definitely tough. It is tough to be that one of those last remaining teams without a deeply rooted key partnership. And I think that those teams like his have to be on high alert here in the next few years. Right? Because it's like, am I going to get a key partnership? How am I going to get it? Is it going to come from Dodge? Is it going to come from a different manufacturer? Or is it going to come from one that's already in the garage? But it's like, from a competitive standpoint, I don't know. It just is a sport. If the sport has big money flow into it as a result of all this stuff, you better hope that money flows to you through either, like I said, either through the form of a key partnership or just some other kind of investment that like elevates the performance and the technical resources of your team. Otherwise, he might be better off taking his $100 million check.
He also signed with RCR as a affiliate going forward. So they're going back to Chevy there. Another one that popped in my mind is Hayek Motorsports, a single car independent team. They have very few employees. I think they are one of the lowest amount of employees of any NASCAR Cup team. I had a conversation with them earlier this year. I remember just asking about that, and I couldn't believe what they were doing it on. So that's got to be one. I think, those smaller independents, it was a big boom, but also, they have to be definitely ones that if there's people that want to get in right now, either they're trying to hold on, like you said, for that new OEM or become closer with a current OEM, or the eventual reality is you most likely are gobbled up by a team trying to expand to 3 charters or, a new entity. So I would think that's got to be the reality. And I think to your point on Rick Ware, like any of those guys that took the risk to be a part of this through some pretty dark times, hopefully in that there was a big reward. So it's what you like to see. It's America, baby. Take the risk, get rewarded. I think that's everything on the lawsuit stuff. And in the NASCAR world, one other NASCAR thing, AJ Allmendinger and Connor Zilisch are going to be racing at the Rolex 24. Talked to Connor for a short minute about the texted, and he's going to be in the Whalen GTP car, which is pretty cool. So he's going for overall victory. He's won it in the LMP2 class. He raced the GTD car last year, or this year, sorry, when I did it, and he was pretty quick in that. But I asked him, I was like, what is that like? He had some pretty funny descriptions. The biggest thing about those GTP, LMDH, whatever you want to call them, hypercars, they are a fairly heavy race car, but they just have so much torque and so much power that he was like, when you get on the straightaway, it's insane. So be cool to watch him do that, though.
Yeah.
Be fun. And sure enough, I was like, I bet he's pretty quick. And he was the fastest in that WeatherTech GTD car of Scott McLaughlin and SVG last year, which they blamed on him being way lighter, which is a thing because you don't weigh the driver in those cars. So being lighter helps. But he was pretty quick there. He was quick in the LMP2 car. And and I don't know. I think he could surprise some people in being very quick in that as well. So he won't just be a name fourth driver. He's a real driver for them. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. Wishing them all the best. That'll be fun to watch. The F1 world ended their season since our last episode. Landon Norris won it over Max Verstappen. Oscar Piastri finished in third. But some news has sort of trickled out of the F1 world, which is always so good at staying in the headlines over the offseason, which I think,
I don't want to breeze through that championship. Like, we can just give it 1 point, but like,
no, I don't want to. I want to move on.
That was kind of an F1 drivers championship for the ages, was it not?
Well, it wasn't quite 2021, but it was good.
Yeah,
the race is boring. The
racing was, but like over the course of the season, I feel like that was a championship for the ages. Like,
yeah,
it didn't come down to a race.
Comeback.
Like
the implosion by Oscar and the Max Verstappen comeback were pretty.
Well, there was like 3 storylines right there over the course of the last 8 weeks.
Yeah,
I mean, because there was one point through the mid-season where it just looked like it was a Piastri Norris 1-2, and I'm not even saying like a McLaren 1-2. I'm saying it looked like it was going to be Piastri and Norris. It looked like Norris had kind of had his falters, his mental kind of, he showed some cracks in the mental toughness. Piastri had some serious momentum. He was a full race ahead, if not more. I can't remember at one point. And then it just kind of swung the other way. And then Max Verstappen came into the picture. Like that's a great sort of full season storyline.
Yeah, you're right. We shouldn't breeze past it. That was pretty cool. The one thing I go to with Norris was it the engine failure in the Netherlands at Zandvoort, I think.
Yeah.
If he had that back, it was basically done. But that's part of racing. But I think what I'll remember is just the Max Verstappen comeback. I mean, mid-season we were talking about basically him being toast. All the infighting between Horner and him and family, and then everything that was going on around there. Eventually, Horner is let go, and then it sort of started to turn around a little bit. And I saw a quote. I think it was our favorite guy, Helmut Marko, who said basically, if Horner had been let go earlier, we would have won the championship. I saw that.
I don't know who I dislike worse.
I know.
Like, or what's that meme where it's like when a dude you hate makes a really good point?
Yeah. Well, to that point, some of the news that came out Adrian Newey is going to be the team principal at Aston Martin.
I thought
Portugal
he
is
was
back.
already.
What's that?
I thought he already was, but
Yeah, well,
okay.
he wasn't, but now he is. Kind of a big move. He went from designer all the way to team principal. Kind of wild. I mean, that guy, he's just been designing, been in F1 forever, feels like. Portugal's back, and our favorite quote in all of F1 will still be available because now he won't be associated with anyone, but that is Helmut Marko has exited Red Bull. Maybe he will be associated with someone. I don't know. He's about 100 years old, I think.
I'm pretty sure nobody at Red Bull will even notice. Like, you cannot give me one thing that he did.
Apparently was the instrumental in designing the most ruthless and cutthroat driver development program in the history of motorsports, by the way. like absolutely legendary stories that I've heard
on a regular basis that, like, after him being gone for 2 weeks, somebody's like, oh shoot, Helmut used to do that. Gosh, oh god. Somebody's gonna have to get in the login and figure out how to.
He never logged into a computer.
Helmut used to do that. I don't know. We don't know how to do that.
The only thing they're going to see is that their analytics are going to drop in half because there won't be constant tagging of, Helmut Marko says some outlandish thing about this driver, how they ate Cheerios that morning. It was just unacceptable that they'd eat Cheerios in the morning of a qualifying session. Like just anything ridiculous. But maybe it opens them up to have more great quotes and insane perspectives. The stories from that driver development program that I've heard are wild. And when the most cutthroat stuff I've ever heard in that sense. And I think you saw a lot of it in terms of drivers, through the AlphaTauri program, Racing Bulls, whatever it is now, Visa Cash App RB, the changeover in drivers, how quickly moving them up to the main team, then back down, and that sort of thing. That was a lot of his doing. So we'll see what happens. Toyota has taken over as the lead sponsor of Haas F1. They had that technical partnership. They have now joined together in a larger capacity, which looks like Toyota's, getting seriously involved in F1 in that sense. So another manufacturer, they are absolutely flush with manufacturers right now. And IndyCar has basically joined with the FIA in some respects to have an independent officiating system, which then coincidentally, the FIA has now made the super points allocation for IndyCar far more favorable for IndyCar if you're successful there. So much so that Colton Herta would have a super license if he did basically one test and not have to go race in F2 this year, had they done this before. So weird. You pay them to officiate, and they make your series more valuable.
Yeah, follow the money.
Is that how it worked?
Yeah, it turns out all you had to do was just hire them, and then
they think higher of you. It's weird. So it's just like I can't put two and two together.
Is more relevant. Well, you know what? I guess if you're FIA, you're like, we don't know how relevant you are. We don't know who's running your officiating. Have us run your officiating, and we can put more confidence behind the points system, the super license points allocation. So, okay.
Okay. Cool.
I guess it makes sense. It's funny because it's like, everything in this world is generally tied. You could just follow the money and answer most of your questions
every single time. If you have any questions in racing,
follow the money.
Follow the money. Toyota will be bringing a new car to GT racing, replacing the Lexus that they ran for about 4,000 years. That Lexus and the newer Lexus and whatever. It's now the GR, which is pretty sweet. It looks almost like a successor to the LFA. So that would be pretty cool to see them do that. They're big supporters of motorsports, so we like them at Toyota. Last year, we did a retrospective where we basically picked out a couple big topics that we get our opinions on, and then we make wild predictions. Before we get into the Q&As, let's do some of those real quick. Landon, rapid fire. Can't just sit there and think for a minute. Got to just rip through these. All right. Most underrated drive of this year.
Oh my god, I'm so unprepared for this. I can't even pick a race.
Not a single race.
Kyle Larson at Phoenix.
No.
I'm assuming you mean the championship race.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What? I mean, is that not an underrated drive?
It is underrated. It was
won the
overshadowed by Denny
championship.
losing, for
Yes,
sure.
that's what I'm saying.
It was overshadowed. Okay. All right. If I had to pick an underrated drive of the year, I'm right with you. I can't even remember a single race this year in my mind. I'm trying to think. There's something at the
And
tip
you
of
were
my
on the
mind.
live broadcast for half of them.
Well, that would be the Xfinity side. Gosh, what would be the most?
You can choose any series. This doesn't have to be NASCAR.
No, I know. Well, I'm trying to remember those as well right now. My brain shuts off from racing at this time of year. So
you
tough.
said not allowed to think. This is
I know.
rapid
Now
fire.
I
Let's
just broke
go.
my own rule. All right, I'm going Chase Elliott, Kansas, when he finished, drove to the field in the last 2 laps. That was pretty wild. It'll be forgotten, but I liked it.
I'm going to go and say Parker Kligerman at Daytona 1.
That's a
when he won the
one
Truck
over
Series
2?
race. 2 was great, but 1 was underrated because NASCAR went and said that you finished 36, and that's a lie, and we all know it.
I was saving that for most screwed over, but let's continue.
Oh, yeah. Way to go, Josh. Hey, speaking of which, the Tommy Joe Martins put together this pretty cool event down in North Carolina last weekend that was called the Grand National Bash, where they did all these awards to different teams and drivers, that sort of thing. Stuff like the coolest pole lap of the year and that sort of stuff. And, independent team awards, independent driver, that sort of thing. And they had a part-time driver award. Eric Almirola won. I finished second.
Story of your life.
Brutal. I literally said, I text him, I go, story of my career. Thanks. So, all right. Most impressive feat overall on the year.
I think not allowed to think.
I have mine.
I think Connor Zillage's year overall in general.
That's what I was picking.
That was impressive.
That's what I was going to pick. 100%. I don't think anyone in motorsports this year did anything like what he did. Unbelievable.
I'm going to go with Denny Hamlin settling with NASCAR in court.
Yeah, that's pretty
Yeah,
good.
you know what?
That's fair.
That's up there.
I guess I didn't realize that this was not limited to on-track activity.
All right. Biggest surprise of the year.
Denny Hamlin settling with NASCAR in court.
That's what I was picking. No way.
Yeah,
Actually, I'll go one step further. I'll take that it actually made it to a lawsuit that they didn't settle before.
That was, yeah. It seemed like they were close.
Yeah. Josh, what do you got?
I got Lando Norris winning the F1 championship.
I was going to say that, but then I picked him last year to win the F1 championship. So I can't pick him to win the F1 championship and then say, wow, that's a surprise.
We also had no time to prepare for these because right before we started the episode, Josh was like, wait, we're going to do these. So neither of us had looked at them at all. All right.
You're doing fine.
Most screwed over.
I already said mine. Parker Kligerman at Daytona in the truck. And or Denny Hamlin, Phoenix.
I was going to say,
By his own
I can't pick myself. I was going to say Denny, Phoenix.
I'm gonna go with Oscar Piastri being basically forced to play second fiddle the entire after he lost the lead. I felt like he was no longer. McLaren made a decision he wasn't winning the drivers' championship, and there's a lot there that I'm sure we won't know for a long time.
Yeah. All right, Landon. Biggest drop off / biggest surge. So it's a 2-parter.
I don't know about biggest surge. I'm gonna have to think about that. Biggest drop off. I'm gonna say the second Red Bull car.
That. Oh my God, are you in my brain?
Is that what you were gonna say?
I was to say Yuki Tsunoda, the second Red Bull car.
Well, I wasn't gonna put it on the driver though.
Okay.
I wasn't, because it's like we started the year with, God, I don't even remember the poor bloke's name. And
Liam
switched to
Lawson.
Yes, Liam Lawson and switched to Yuki Tsunoda. But at the end of the day, it's like Sergio Perez ran P3 in that car for how many years?
Yeah, a couple.
And this was a rough year for Red Bull on, generally speaking. But like that thing sucked.
No, it's
So-
cursed.
I would
Yeah,
like
that's
Put
to.
Yuki on the
That's the biggest
outside.
drop off.
Can I amend my most screwed over before we go? I actually want to change it. No, Brock
you-
Feeney in the V8 supercars.
Oh.
Oh, well, I mean, format. But yeah, you can do that.
Okay, Edgelord.
Is this one of your TikTok things? Landon spends a lot of time on TikTok.
I spend 0 time on TikTok.
Somehow you know all the Gen Z terminology, though. I don't know where you gather it all. It's not my algo.
I don't. Yeah.
Give me Yuki on biggest drop off. I'll take Yuki. No, you just wrote Luke.
No, it auto-corrected to Luke. It's like not Luke.
Yuki.
Yuki, you mean Luke.
Biggest surge, I'm going to say, because it was a game changer for his season and for him, Jesse Love winning the Xfinity Series championship.
Yeah, there you go.
That is a massive one race surge.
That's
What's your biggest surge, Landon?
Ugh. I don't.
TikTok.
I know. I'm TikToking this one. I don't know. I don't have a biggest surge.
Who?
I don't even agree with the Jesse Love one.
Well, you're an idiot. That's just plain and simple. It's a genius one. Thank you very much.
Who? I mean, I would just say McLaren in general. Maybe I don't.
Okay.
That's fair.
It works.
Like I think it's legitimately a surge for them to do what they did this year. I mean, they went most of the year relatively like no single challenge until the last second half of the year. Like until the last third of the year by Max Verstappen, who, I mean, granted, he closed the gap. He did a phenomenal job, almost won the championship. McLaren didn't have a clear challenger all year. And they went from the McLaren of the last decade to this year. I mean, that's pretty legitimate.
Josh, what do you got? Biggest biggest surge.
I'm gonna do biggest surge first. SVG winning 5 races.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
And biggest drop off, SVG eliminated in the first round of the playoffs.
Like, they have oval tracks on the playoffs. Damn it!
I
Honorable
expect
mention
he
to
will.
Verstappen.
I think he will surprise next year. I would
Yeah.
guarantee that.
I think
Well, then
Verstappen
it's not a
getting
surprise.
to 2 points back though is a pretty good surge though.
That was pretty impressive. Yep. Good call. All right, we gotta do our.
That's even a better surge than a McLaren one. Quite.
No, yeah, you should have picked that.
Yep.
It was you had terrible picks. All right, let's talk championship picks. Now this is hilarious because we do Cup, O'Reilly, Trucks, F1, IndyCar, and we don't know the championship
not what I
format. This is the other part of this. We don't even know what the format is.
Denny Hamlin.
Well, the Cup was easy. It's definitely gonna be Denny. Although I would say that him settling this lawsuit in their favor.
I know he
was
needs
his
some drama.
It was his championship, though. The value creation made up for his lack of championships financially. Just doesn't give you a trophy.
I know, but he needs a championship trophy. And I'm wondering, is this the year, or does he need drama to do it?
Well, you never know what's around the corner. What drama could arise?
Can you guys just make some choices here? Like,
I'm
who's-
taking Denny.
Oh, you're taking.
Yeah,
Denny. Okay.
I picked Denny too.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Who you got?
Well, it's gonna be Joey Logano's year. It's an even year now.
Oh, good call.
I don't know what the format's gonna be, but I imagine somehow Logano will be the beneficiary of whatever the new format's gonna be. We'll all go to hating the new format by the end of next year.
Yeah, it's true. All right, Xfinity, I'm taking Justin Allgaier. Landon.
That was kind of what I wanted to pick. We're kind of going safe. It's too early for all this.
Well, we didn't know we didn't go.
Okay.
Just
We did
do
that.
it.
We did do this last year. Allgaier, yes.
Is there any like Heim racing full time just in different teams? In O'Reilly?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. That's then I have no idea who to choose.
Your favorite, Austin Hill.
Dude, I can't do that. I just can't do that. I cannot get myself to say Austin Hill wins the
Oh my
championship.
gosh.
I'm gonna go with Love again. Love's gonna go back to back.
All right, there you go. That's a good one. Trucks, I got no idea who's even racing full time. How's that for Majeski?
That was my pick.
Give me end finger.
Yeah, give me end finger then.
Okay.
All right, I'll take Majeski then.
Oh boy. I have no idea who's racing. I'm gonna Who's a guy that races in Truck Series? It's not Matt Craft, and I can't say him.
Name
He's
one Truck Series driver.
That's the new thing.
Dude, we have all turned our brains off for the
Hey, this is the worst racing show in the history of anything that's ever been put out.
I'm gonna go Chandler Smith.
All right, there you go. Although you probably should have picked Lane Riggs. But that's fine. All right, let's do F1.
Do you want Lane Riggs?
Give me Lane Riggs.
All right.
There you go. All right, Formula One. Who do I got for the championship? I am absolutely taking Max Verstappen.
Yeah, me too.
Oh my gosh.
You know what? Wait.
New engine
I wanna
regulations.
I want to change it up. New regulations, 2026. Who's going to benefit from this? It's this new whole, no DRS, electric, 50% electric, 50% ICE motor. Give me Ferrari. Give me Leclerc. Unfortunately, I've lost my hope for Lewis.
Oh no! Start of the year, Lewis 8th title inbound.
Literally, no. The best part is he's gonna rip off like 5 straight wins to start the year.
Yeah, that's gonna be wild. Ooh, goodness. I'm gonna say Russell. Mercedes is gonna come back. It's
That's
gonna be
funny. I almost picked him. That was gonna be that was my first gut reaction, and then I went against my gut. So,
when he wins the championship in June. You're gonna
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, I just
IndyCar. I'm going. I mean, I don't know how anyone beats him, but if it's gonna be someone who beats him, it's his teammate Scott Dixon.
Oh, okay.
Landon.
Can I pick Alex Pillow?
Yes. Josh.
I'm not gonna go with Alex Palou as well.
All right.
Uh,
What is this next section?
So this next section, we did this last year.
We have a
is-
huge Q&A to go through as well.
I
by the way.
know, I know. That's why I kept telling you guys maybe we should shorten this conversation on the lawsuit. The next
We can
section,
cut stuff out.
which we did last year, is these are all of the people in new places for 2025. Let's give them a scorecard on how they did with the change.
Okay, real quick. We'll just
Rip it through.
just one of us rip through.
Yeah,
I'll
Lewis
say him.
Hamilton-
I'll say him, and you score him.
Okay.
Lewis Hamilton at Ferrari.
D.
Carlos Sainz at Williams.
Ooh, A,
Antonelli Mercedes.
D.
Really?
I didn't think he did well.
Nico and Bortoletto at Sauber.
No one cares. Move on.
Nico who and what is a Bortoletto? What kind of pasta is that?
What sauce does that go with?
Yeah. Ocon and Behrman at Haas. Again,
Didn't they wreck each other twice? I'm giving him a D.
Lawson and RBR at RBR, then Racing Bulls.
I'm going to give him a B because he fought back and seemed to be pretty competitive.
Yuki at Red Bull.
The C.
Isaac at Racing Bulls.
A. Like, kid's fast.
NASCAR, Riley Herbst at 2311. Did he even race?
Yep, he was there all season. Believe it or not. I'm going to give it a D.
Ty Dillon at Colleague.
C+ because he came damn close to winning that.
I was going to give him a better grade than
Yeah,
that.
actually, you know what? I'm going to bump it up. Why not a B+? He ran.
He might have redeemed himself as a cup driver.
Definitely was one of the more competitive seasons he's ever had. Plus, there was that the
Stretch
in-season
race.
challenge where he almost got close to that. So he gets B+.
SVG at Trackhouse.
All right, A.
Josh
I mean,
Berry at Wood Brothers.
Got the win at Vegas, but had he not won that, he would have been like 33rd in points.
Oof.
I'm going to say because he got the win, he gets a C.
And not a great Penske year
No,
in general.
overall.
So tough year to make that debut. Chase Briscoe replacing Martin Truex Jr.
Has to be an A. I mean,
Yeah,
maybe
how do you not?
for it. Like A+. A+. I mean, what more could you ask for? There was the rocky start, but then once they turned it on and all the polls, my goodness, A+.
McDowell at front row.
No, he went to Spire. He meant Spire.
Spire, sorry.
Yep. Sorry.
This
That's
is a
me.
tricky
I'm
one.
Ron Burgundy.
Yeah. This is a tricky one because they were at Chicago. He felt like he was faster in SVG, was leading, and then they had mechanical failure. And at Texas, YOLO'd it there at the lead. Could have won that. I'm going to give him a B.
He did McDowell things.
Yeah, he did McDowell things, for sure.
This next section is just moves to be looking forward to in the new year. What your guys' quick, fast thoughts are on this. Justin Haley is out, Zilich is in, and Suarez moves to Haley's seat.
Landon.
Cool. Thanks, Bob. What else?
I'm going to say Connor Zilich going to Cup, pretty wild, fast session. How about that?
That's fast.
Does
That's
Connor
pretty
Zilich
insane.
make the playoffs?
No.
I'm going to say
Yes.
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 Okay.
He'll win a race.
Yeah, he will.
You're assuming
A
that.
road course.
Actually, is there even a playoffs next year? I should say.
Yeah, actually, well, whatever the hell it's going to be.
Does he make the postseason?
Yeah, he does.
Okay.
Marvin Lindblad to Racing Bulls, have no opinion. Isaac Hadjar to Red Bull, great choice, but RIP his career. Perez and Bottas for Cadillac. I like the veteran moves. Wish it was an
Cadillac
American.
score a point?
That's a good question. I would say because of their best chances because it's brand new regulations. Yes, they score a point.
Interesting.
And I can't. What we should add to this is where does Colton Herta finish in F2? So first test, he obviously. I mean, take this with a grain of salt. Testing what new tires, amount of tires they were allowed, how many times they were able to rip fast laps, that sort of thing. But he was 17th at the test, and those tires are incredibly sensitive to like a specific operating window. And those cars are very finicky, and he's got to learn all these new tracks. What does he need to get the license? I think it's like a top 5 in points.
Possibly. I think it'll be a tall order. I think it's tough. And that is
I think
it's
a very tall order.
That's nothing against Colton Herta. I think it's hard to change disciplines.
I think he's taken probably been put in one of the toughest positions a driver of his accomplishments
could ever be.
Yeah, and time at the highest level to then be to do what he's doing. The only thing I can compare it to is like Montoya and Franchitti when they came over to NASCAR, and they did like ARCA and Xfinity a little bit, right? And then, but they weren't forced to sort of run a lower series. They kind of dabbled in Cup and that sort of thing. So I do think this is a large undertaking for him. But I think honestly, anything, if whatever gets him his points to have the super license, which I don't know what the number is off the top of my head, whatever gets him that is a home run. Doesn't matter.
He's gonna have to take it serious, though.
I would think he is. So
Yeah.
Good luck to him. We'll see. We probably should have known what it takes, but Josh, maybe you can look that up while we do the Q&A. All right.
Yeah,
so we
I'll
mentioned
take a
it.
look.
We asked you all for questions. We shall provide answers. No long answers, Landon. We're going to rip through this.
Okay.
All right. On YouTube, we had Pat McAssey.
What?
That one always gets me. Question. Leah Block said her ultimate goal is WRC. Do you think we ever see her in a rally car? Rally 1 car. Absolutely. If she wants to make it happen, I think it can happen with her late father's pedigree in the rally world, and all he did to bring new eyes and people to the rally world. I think he's there's probably a lot of people that recognize the name, and if she's got the support and wants to do that, absolutely. I believe she's still racing Formula Academy next year, so wish her all the best. I think it could happen for sure. What's this one? Enraged Panda 1. Question. Oh, I just broke it. Nope, it's back. Question. Were the practice and qualifying shows on True TV a NBC/TNT co-production, or is it all TNT with the NBC talent? So that was a when TNT was doing it, it was TNT talent and TNT people, and then when it was NBC, it was the NBC people. So
They also want to know how much production things like cameras, boosts, networks do the network share.
It's a good question. So cameramen, there's a lot of cameramen who, the ones at the top of the rafters, that sort of stuff you see in Robo, that do all 38 weeks and just move through the different networks. In terms of production, producers, directors, there's some mixing up there. If the NBC crew does Amazon, and then they do NBC as well. But the most consistent thing throughout the year is the cameramen who kind of work for everyone. And then obviously they work for the CW as well, which that is a different production group, but we use whatever trucks, are there, whatever broadcast group's trucks are there. We use those for some of the broadcast transmission. So it is very mixed up. But when it comes to the biggest thing that's very, sort of a difference between any networks is sort of your producer, your director, your sort of main higher up people. Those are different depending on the network. All right. Brianna.
Real quick.
What's that?
Eighth or better. And then there's a ton of different other things for Colton Herta. Eighth or better, we'll just get it. But they could just run him in a bunch of Formula One FP sessions, and he can finish 11th or worse.
Got it. So whatever gets him there. But I was going to say a top 10 would be massive. So there you go.
Yeah.
Eighth or better. Okay. Good luck to Colton Herta. That would be a success. Brianna Workington 2448 said, Landon, now that you are back in Iowa, do you get recognized when you are out in public?
Yeah, it happens. It happens.
Fun. Raptor MN, why doesn't F1 use alternate timing lines for qualifying?
Oh.
Yeah.
Because they're proper. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. They're proper, and it's something IndyCar and NASCAR do on the road courses, but I don't know. I don't know why they don't do it. The best thing it does is clear the track quick. It is, I will say, though, at some places, kind of a letdown when you don't have them go across the start-finish line. And there's one that sticks out in my head, which is NASCAR uses an alternate start-finish line at Indianapolis on the oval. And so when the lap is finishing, it's not finishing over the yard of bricks. It's a little anticlimactic. But other than that, usually it's a big plus. Eric Elston 7670. Hello. Thoughts on the tandem era? Landon, you lived through it.
Actually.
Parker, Josh, AJ, and Landon. Love what you're doing with the show. My first question is...
This is from him.
If you're to design a brand new oval track, what would it be? How much banking? Was it progressive or not? Any quirks with the corners? How bumpy it is? And my second question is, I really enjoyed the tandem era, and I would love to see it come back, maybe for just one race per season. Would you guys see that ever happening? If not, maybe why? And what were your favorite parts from the tandem era? All right, thank you.
3-parter there. Appreciate the question. I'll go first, Landon.
Yep.
If it's a permanent track, I would like to design a track like the old Trenton, which had a right-hander. It was a big oval with a right-hander down the backstretch. And I would like to see it have like a super slow corner at one end and a massive banked fast corner at the other end. Totally wild. Oh, and then tandem stuff. No, I don't see it coming back because of the design of the cars don't allow it in some respects. Although you do see it a little bit at Talladega with this current car. Do I think it has to come back? No. And when we did it, though, I very much enjoyed it. I don't know if I enjoyed watching it as much.
It was definitely fun to race. I thought it was interesting. I liked it, but I don't know if I would exclusively want tandem racing for super speedway racing. I mean, I like super speedway racing. I think the best version of super speedway racing, though, is when handling is involved and it's not a full-on pack. It's like you can have a pack, but then you can also have a 6-car breakaway, right? So think,
2003, 2004.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yep. What would be your oval track design?
Man, I want to see some like more. I would love to see some more Bristol type racetracks. I would love to see some creative short tracks. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I love a mile and a half. I think we've gone through our sport has gone through like these love-hate relationships with mile and a halves. And we probably they've taken a beating over the years where we've not appreciated them. I love a good mile and a half though. Homestead, Charlotte, those are good racetracks.
Yeah.
But like we haven't built and put a half-mile track on the schedule in a while. I mean, I guess North Wilkesboro, but we didn't design that. That's a unique design. It's a special track. But I'd love to see a high-banked half-mile track, some kind of wild grooves that we run, something kind of, even the design that you're talking about. But hell, let's make it a 0.6 of a mile track. Let's make it just under 3/4 of a mile.
That's a great. Yeah, it doesn't have to be big.
Super tight, and a lot of braking. Really, bumper cars on one end, but then just 30 degrees of banking on the other, wide, ripping. Yep.
And then you got to make a choice into the right-hander, so you can't just make it turn left really well.
Yeah, I'm like okay with the right-hander. If it's gonna be a half mile or if it's gonna be a 3/4 mile track, it doesn't need to have all that. But like just some really big, high banked, wide, multi-groove end, and then everybody funnels down into a little bull ring on the other side. That would be kind of cool. I would love to see some kind of risky track.
Hear me out.
What?
iRacing Super Speedway.
Yeah, that's a wild one. The reason for the right-hander, just to explain my thinking, and I've thought this came to me when we used to have the Gen 6, the cars that broke, the rear ends would break and crack and move over to the right so they could turn left better. And I was like, the best way to get rid of that is put a right-hander. It's like, so you got to get through the right-hander, which would be tight enough to make you have to turn enough, but also like if you don't set the car up well enough, you'll destroy the left side or you wouldn't be able to stay flat out. And so that's my theory on the right-hander for an oval. It'd be awesome. Happy Gilmore the Great 7819. Do you think that if the 36 race points format ever returns, teams will implement team orders where they ask drivers to swap positions like in F1?
Yes,
we already discussed this.
Next
and
question.
It won't just be the teams, it will come from the OEMs. Even more so. Nate Morris Racing. Hey guys, love the show. Great job. My question is for both Parker and Landon. What is one race car, past or present, that you would want to drive once in your life? Where would you want to drive it? We've answered this one before.
We did.
Mine would be an early 2000s McLaren F1 car, like a MP4 16 or 17, MP4 18. And I'd pick Monaco.
The hillbilly
you're
in me wants to
changing
just pick a Gen 6 Cup car at Atlanta, but you're right. You're right. Put me in something I'd never driven before like that. I'll do it.
Bam.
That's it.
What'd you say, Josh?
Oh, you changed it. You said Spa last time. I'm almost 100% positive.
No, I know I
you
said
did
that,
Spa.
but then I just thought Monaco for a second because I
Yeah.
was like, well, if it's one time, one thing, I was like, well, maybe Monaco is just the only problem with Monaco is you wouldn't get to push it because I'd have so much to learn and
Yeah.
just sketched out walls that somewhere with some runoff would be fun.
Can I say one that I would
No,
love
Josh,
to
you're
do?
not allowed.
Audi R18 at Le Mans.
Okay, that's
I
cool.
want to drive. That was like when I first got into motorsports. And
You
that
mean
one
the R8?
R18, the prototype, or the R20.
Not the R8, like the
Not the
original,
R-
like early 2000s.
No. I
Open
want
top.
the closed cockpit, the one that I
Got
watched
it, got
them
it.
bring in when I was a kid for the first time getting into motorsports. I
Yeah.
love that car.
All right, cool. What is this name? The Ace Steeler 101. Hey, Landon and Parker, I heard a rumor while I was at the Adelaide Supercars Grand Final that there will be a cup race on the streets of Adelaide in the near future around 2027 or 28. Could NASCAR do the unthinkable and make the last race of the championship in another country in a street race? I don't think it would be any of those, but I wouldn't be surprised to see an international exhibition for sure. Especially with what just
I
went
would
down in the
say
lawsuit.
exhibition.
It would be an exhibition. Ripping the wall. On a scale of 1 to 10, how many times have you?
6, maybe 7.
6 or 7? Okay. Wrapped form. Also, if NASCAR went back to a point system, would you be okay with it being 24 races? 36 is way too many points races. The season is long enough. What does that say?
I think they're wondering if they can if the schedule should be
F1 season
shortened.
is long enough, and IndyCar is too short. I think 24 would be too short, but my perfect NASCAR schedule is 32 races in my mind.
Yeah.
28 to 32.
30
Perfect. What's that?
36 is on the higher end.
Yeah, it's a lot. I think if you had 28 or 32 races, it's just like, bam, that's money. But that won't happen. So there'll be a lot of races forever. Noah of Babylon. Best and worst tracks you've raced on at any level.
Are there any bad tracks?
I know one.
What's one?
Berlin.
I love Berlin.
I hated that place. Now,
There's
I did
no
have
bad
the
tracks.
flu when I raced there.
There's no bad tracks.
But I just did not like that place. I'm sorry. I know Berlin is like a huge thing to people, especially those in the Midwest and Michigan. But man, it was like the worst. I just had the worst experience. I had the flu, as I said, and I felt horrible. And then we were like 6th in practice qualifying, which in ARC at the time was a disaster. And then I end up getting near this kid or somebody who just like drove, like I never touched them, and there's no wall out there. They drove off the side and literally went into like a tree. I thought the guy was dead, and I was like, that's horrific. And so I didn't have a fun time there. We need a best track. What's your worst and best?
Berlin.
That's your This is a very contentious episode here today.
Man, old Atlanta was good. Darlington,
Yeah.
Daytona. I mean, come on. How do you get better than Daytona International Speedway?
I love Daytona.
Give me a better track than Daytona International Speedway. There's a reason there's a Daytona 500 is the most famous race on earth.
Yeah, it's true. I would say best track though for me is my thought for a track is like alone. What is it like? If you were just there by yourself with a car and I have to go to Road America every time. It feels like you're going somewhere. It's the back from the kink, from the carousel through the kink all the way down to Canada Corner feels like you're going 1,000 miles an hour because the trees overhang the racetrack a little bit, although they've called it back, so it's not as dramatic as it was 10 years ago. But it just feels like you're going 1,000 miles an hour back there. I love that place. It's awesome.
We have a voicemail question.
We do have another voicemail question.
Ooh.
Hey Moneylab, Harry from Atlanta here. My question is, now that you've both retired from full-time racing, was racing in NASCAR everything you thought it'd be? And did you accomplish all of the goals you set for yourselves when you first started? Thanks.
Not enough naked bitches.
Jeez. This is a family show.
I can't even take credit for that one. That is from a friend who many years ago was coming to the Xfinity Series, who remained nameless.
Noah
And
Gregson.
no, it wasn't. No. Before his time. And this guy, he comes into my apartment at the time. I was racing full-time Xfinity, and there was another Xfinity Series driver there who remained nameless. And he goes, we were just literally hanging out playing video games one night, and he was like, guys, I'll be honest. I thought full-time Xfinity, NASCAR drivers, this sort of stuff, I thought there'd be naked bitches everywhere. I was like, that's pretty amazing. If I had to answer honestly, yeah, yes and no. I think when you're younger, you're very naive to the realities of the business side of the sport at times. And as you get older and you're there longer, you become less naive to those sorts of things and realize it is a tougher hill and a taller mountain to climb than I probably realized even coming up through the ranks, because I think when you're coming up through the ranks, it's sort of like when there's momentum at your back and that sort of thing, it's almost like, okay, next step. And when you get to the highest level there, it's kind of like, one, there's a realization, okay, there's nothing above this. And then two, it's a thought of like, oh, there's a lot more that happens behind the scenes than just what happens on the racetrack.
I think it was everything I imagined and more.
Wow.
I mean,
That's
you
good.
know, I mean, I knew the business stuff. I feel like I was fairly well. I had a pretty good understanding of like sponsorship, the requirements, all that going into it. But you know, you just can't imagine how much there is going on in the sport and what it takes to run those teams. I had no idea that. So yeah, it was everything I dreamed of and more for sure.
Yeah, I don't want the business side just to be the sponsorship money. That's what I meant. Like,
did I accomplish everything I set out to do? No. When I was in second grade, I think I said I wanted to win 10 Cup Series championships. Did not get that done. So
you were slightly short.
Yes.
I would say yes, and to your point, and more. Did I ever think I'd do TV or all the other things surrounding the sport that I've done? No, never saw it. So it has always been, it's not, to your point, it's not exactly as I planned. I think I planned to have been a 100-time champion and then gone to F1, but that didn't pan out.
That's what I mean. I don't even know if you could set that expectation.
No, it's when you're younger, it's totally different. But great questions. Thank you, voicemail person. I don't remember their name. On Spotify, Noah Larson. I know YouTube and voicemail were the preferred outlets, but if we were able to add to the Q&A here, how would Parker compare/contrast his two full-time Xfinity stints, 2013 with KBM versus 23 and 24 at Big Machine Racing? Kind of similar to what I said there. I think just older, more experienced. I'd say I was a better driver this time around. I was probably a little bit faster driver than in 2013, but more reckless and crashed more stuff. And I'd say in this stint, you know, you just have a better all-around perspective. And I think the last stint was, I think more like enjoyable in some respects, just because you grow up and you have a better perspective. So, yeah. All right, we're on to Twitter. What?
Will Parker ever man up and get a PS5 from Brett Warsham? Did I mention on a prior show that Beckham has been asking for a PS5, asking Santa for a PS5?
No way.
And Santa, I believe, reportedly is really feeling the pressure.
Wow. No way.
So I'm not sure what to do about all that.
Poor Santa.
Poor Santa.
Santa's going to have to pony up to get a PS5. Keep listening, because Santa needs listeners to be able to afford the PS5. What's your favorite whiskey, Landon? From Jason Fellowbaum.
I don't really drink whiskey.
I don't either.
I just, whatever. Yeah, I'm not a whiskey. I like wine.
I'm more of a tequila vodka guy.
Yeah.
Hey, Parker, Landon, since I just found this is from Chad McDaniel. since I just found out that the F1 champ can use the number 1 this year, what are your thoughts on this? I get it, but not a fan myself. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to you and all the money lappers.
I don't like it. I don't.
It's
It's an F1 culture thing that I'm not like that. I don't align with.
Well, and when they went to this the greatest thing they did was the number follows the driver deal, which I thought was awesome because the number used to mean nothing before and it would move all around and it was really confusing. So I thought that was great.
It was assigned based on where they finished last year's points championship and the driver world championship. So one was given to the number 1 driver.
Yeah. And then, but no, not that the other ones were the team sort of like picked them from where they finished and it was a mess. And so I don't know. I get it. It's historic, and if you choose to run the number 1, I think they probably could sell more merch now because it's an even bigger deal with how big, how associated they are with their normal numbers. I don't know how to say this name. ISLFA LFE. What are your 2 favorite Pringles flavors? I don't eat Pringles.
Sour cream and onion.
Okay.
Pizza.
But in Europe they have paprika, which is pretty delicious.
Paprika.
Highly recommend. Yeah, check it out. You're there.
Okay. And let's just do this email. No, we already answered all those things. Sorry, not happening. Different endurance races other than the Rolex by H Row 24. Other than the Rolex and Sebring, would you want to do Le Mans? And can we please put our podcast on Amazon Music? That's a Josh question.
I will work on getting that on Amazon Music. No guarantees if there's specific requirements, but I'll take a look.
All right, our last one. Parker, will you play NASCAR 25 with me? I have it on the computer. So that's it. The longest episode of all time. We'll see how that gets cut. That's it for Money Lap in 2025. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Oh, no. Landon.
He left 30 minutes ago. That's why I was jumping up and down earlier.
We were hoping to surprise you all.
I hope you guys are happy we read all those comments.
We read all those comments and we didn't get Kyle Busch in. It's going to have to happen in 2026. Thank you all for watching, listening. Peace.
To all, good night.
Thank you so much for watching and listening to the Money Lap. If you like this show, please like and subscribe to us on YouTube. Share it with friends. We want to spread the word of great motorsports shows, of which we're somewhere up and around there. I'm not exactly sure where, but nonetheless, you can also reach out to us anytime on across social media or at our website, themoneylap.com, or at our email, friends@themoneylap.com. And of course, you can always leave us a review. 5 stars gets you on this very show. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Goodbye.